Genesis chapter 26. And there was a famine in the land, beside the first famine that was in the days of Abraham. And Isaac went to Abimelech, king of the Philistines, to Gerar. And Yahweh appeared to him and said, Do not go down into Egypt. Dwell in the land which I shall tell you of. Travel in this land, and I will be with you and will bless you. For to you and to your seed I will give all these countries. And I will perform the oath which I swore to Abraham your father. And I will make your seed to multiply as the stars of heaven. And I will give to your seed all these countries, and in your seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed. Because that Abraham obeyed my voice and kept my charge, my commandments, my statutes, and my laws. And Isaac dwelt in Gerar. And men of the place asked him of his wife, and he said, She is my sister. For he feared to say, She is my wife, lest, said he, the men of the place should kill me for Rebekah, because she was fair to look upon. And it came to pass, when he had been there a long time, that Abimelech, king of the Philistines, looked out at a window, and saw, and behold, Isaac was sporting with Rebekah his wife. And Abimelech called Isaac and said, Behold, of a surety she is your wife, and how did you say then that she is my sister? And Isaac said to him, Because I said, Lest I die for her. And Abimelech said, What is this you have done to us? One of the people might lightly have lain with your wife, and you should have brought guiltiness upon us. And Abimelech charged all his people, saying, He that touches this man or his wife shall surely be put to death. And then Isaac sowed in that land, and received in the same year 100-fold, and Yahweh blessed him. And the man waxed great, and went forward, and grew until he became very great, for he had possession of flocks, and possession of herds, and great store of servants, and the Philistines envied him. For all the wells which his father's servants had digged in the days of Abraham his father, the Philistines had stopped them, and filled them with earth. And Abimelech said to Isaac, Go from us, for you are much mightier than we. And Isaac departed from there, and pitched his tent in the valley of Gerar, and dwelt there. And Isaac digged again the wells of water, which they had digged in the days of Abraham his father, for the Philistines had stopped them after the death of Abraham. And he called their names after the names by which his father had called them. And Isaac's servants digged in the valley, and found there a well of springing water. And the herdmen of Gerar did strive with Isaac's herdmen, saying, The water is ours. And he called the name of the well Esek, because they strove with him. And they digged another well, and strove for that also, and he called the name of it Sitnah. And he removed from there, and dug another well, and for that they did not strive. And he called the name of it Rehoboth. And he said, For now Yahweh has made room for us, and we shall be fruitful in the land. And he went up from there to Beersheba. And Yahweh appeared to him the same night, and said, I am the Elohim of Abraham your father. Do not fear, for I am with you, and I will bless you, and multiply your seed for my servant Abraham's sake. And he built an altar there, and called upon the name of Yahweh, and pitched his tent there, and there Isaac's servants digged a well. Then Abimelech went to him from Gerar, and Ahuzath, one of his friends, and Phicol, the chief captain of his army. And Isaac said to them, Why have you come to me, seeing you hate me, and have sent me away from you? And they said, We saw certainly that Yahweh was with you. And we said, Let there be now an oath between us, even between us and you, and let us make a covenant with you, that you will do us no hurt, as we have not touched you, and as we have done you nothing but good, and have sent you away in peace. You are now the blessed of Yahweh. And he made them a feast, and they did eat and drink, and they rose up before the morning, and swore to one another, and Isaac sent them away, and they departed from him in peace. And it came to pass the same day that Isaac's servants came, and told him concerning the well which they had digged, and called to him, We have found water. And he called it Sheba. Therefore the name of the city is Beersheba to this day. And Esau was 40 years old when he took to wife Judith the daughter of Beeri the Hittite, and Bashemoth the daughter of Elon the Hittite, which were a grief of mind to Isaac and to Rebekah. End of chapter. Genesis chapter 27. And it came to pass that when Isaac was old, and his eyes were dim, so that he could not see, he called Esau, his eldest son, and said to him, My son. And he said to him, Behold, I am here. And he said, Behold now, I am old, I do not know the day of my death. Now therefore take, I ask you, your weapons, and your quiver, and your bow, and go out to the field, and take me some venison, and make me savory meat, such as I love, and bring it to me, that I may eat, and that my soul might bless you before I die. And Rebekah heard when Isaac spoke to Esau his son, and Esau went into the field to hunt for venison, and to bring it. And Rebekah spoke to Jacob her son, saying, Behold, I heard your father speak to Esau your brother, saying, Bring me venison, and make me savory meat, so that I may eat and bless you before Yahweh, before my death. Now therefore, my son, obey my voice, according to that which I command you. Go to the flock, and fetch me from there 2 good kids of the goats, and I will make them savory meat for your father, such as he loves. And you shall bring it to your father, that he may eat, and that he may bless you before his death. And Jacob said to Rebekah his mother, Behold, Esau my brother is a hairy man, and I am a smooth man. My father may well feel me, and I shall seem to be to him as a deceiver, and I shall bring a curse upon me, and not a blessing. And his mother said to him, Upon me be your curse, my son, only obey my voice. Go fetch them for me. And he went and fetched and brought them to his mother, and his mother made savory meat such as his father loved. And Rebekah took goodly raiment of her eldest son Esau, which were with her in the house, and put them upon Jacob her younger son. And she put the skins of the kids of the goats upon his hands, and upon the smooth of his neck. And she gave the savory meat and the bread, which she had prepared, into the hand of her son Jacob. And he came to his father and said, My father. And he said, Here I am. Who are you, my son? Jacob said to his father, I am Esau, your firstborn. I have done according as you bid me. Arise, I pray you, sit and eat of my venison, that your soul may bless me. And Isaac said to his son, How is it that you have found it so quickly, my son? And he said, Because Yahweh, your Elohim, brought it to me. And Isaac said to Jacob, Come near, I ask you, that I may feel you, my son, to see whether you be my very son Esau or no. And Jacob went near to Isaac his father, and he felt him, and said, The voice is Jacob's voice, but the hands are the hands of Esau. And he discerned him not, because his hands were hairy, as his brother Esau's hands, and so he blessed him. And he said, Are you my very son Esau? And he said, I am. And he said, Bring it near to me, and I will eat of my son's venison, that my soul may bless you. And he brought it near to him, and he did eat, and he brought him wine, and he drank. And his father Isaac said to him, Come near now and kiss me, my son. And he came near and kissed him. And he smelled the smell of his raiment, and blessed him, and said, See, the smell of my son is as the smell of a field which Yahweh has blessed. Therefore Yahweh give you of the dew of heaven, and the fatness of the earth, and plenty of corn and wine. Let people serve you, and nations bow down to you. Be ruler over your brethren, and let your mother's sons bow down to you. Cursed be everyone that curses you, and blessed be he that blesses you. And it came to pass, as soon as Isaac had made an end of blessing Jacob, and Jacob was yet scarce gone out from the presence of Isaac his father, that Esau his brother came in from his hunting. And he also had made savory meat, and brought it to his father, and said to his father, Let my father arise and eat of his son's venison, that your soul may bless me. And Isaac his father said to him, Who are you? And he said, I am your son, your firstborn Esau. And Isaac trembled very exceedingly, and said, Who? Where is he that has taken venison and brought it to me? And I have eaten all of it before you came, and have blessed him. Yes, and he shall be blessed. And when Esau heard the words of his father, he cried with a great and exceeding bitter cry, and said to his father, Bless me, even me also, father. And he said, Your brother came with subtlety, and has taken away your blessing. And he said, Is he not rightly named Jacob? For he has supplanted me these 2 times, and he took away my birthright, and behold, now he's taken away my blessing. And he said, Have you not reserved a blessing for me? And Isaac answered and said to Esau, Behold, I have made him your ruler, and all his brethren have I given to him for servants, and with corn and wine have I sustained him. And what shall I do now to you, my son? And Esau said to his father, Have you not but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even bless me also, father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Isaac his father answered and said to him, Behold, your dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and of the dew of heaven above. And by your sword shall you live, and shall serve your brother. And it shall come to pass, when you shall have the dominion, that you shall break his yoke from off your neck. And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand, and then will I slay my brother Jacob. And these words of Esau, her elder son, were told to Rebekah. And she sent and called Jacob, her younger son, and said to him, your brother Esau is touching you, doth comfort himself, purposing to kill you. Therefore, my son, obey my voice, and rise up and flee to Laban, my brother, to Haran, and stay with him a few days until your brother's fury turns away, until your brother's anger turns away from you, and he forget that which you have done to him. And then I will send and fetch you from there. Why should I be deprived also of you both in one day? And Rebekah said to Isaac, I am weary of my life because of the daughters of Heth. If Jacob takes a wife of the daughters of Heth, such as these, which are of the daughters of the land, what good shall my life do me? End of chapter. Genesis chapter 28. And Isaac called Jacob, and blessed him, and charged him, and said to him, ye shall not take a wife of the daughters of Canaan. Arise, go to Paddan-aram, to the house of Bethuel, your mother's father, and take you a wife from there of the daughters of Laban, your mother's brother. And El Shaddai bless you, and make you fruitful, and multiply you, so that you may be a multitude of people, and give you the blessing of Abraham to you, and to your seed with you, that you may inherit the land wherein you are a stranger, which Yahweh gave to Abraham. And Isaac sent Jacob away, and he went to Paddan-aram to Laban, son of Bethuel the Syrian, the brother of Rebekah, Jacob's and Esau's mother. When Esau saw that Isaac had blessed Jacob and sent him away to Paddan-aram to take him a wife from there, and that as he blessed him, he gave him a charge, saying, you shall not take a wife of the daughters of Canaan, and that Jacob obeyed his father and his mother, and was gone to Paddan-aram. And Esau, seeing that the daughters of Canaan pleased not Isaac his father, then went Esau to Ishmael, and took to the wives which he had Mahalath, the daughter of Ishmael, Abraham's son, the sister of Nebajoth, to be his wife. And Jacob went out from Beersheba, and went toward Haran. And he came upon a certain place, and stayed there all night, because the sun was set. And he took of the stones of that place, and used them for his pillows, and lay down in that place to sleep. And he dreamed, and behold, a ladder set up on the earth, and the top of it reached to heaven. And behold, the messengers of Yahweh ascending and descending upon it. And behold, Yahweh stood above it, and said, I am Yahweh Elohim of Abraham your father, and the Elohim of Isaac. The land whereupon you lie, to you will I give it, and to your seed. And your seed shall be as the dust of the earth, and you shall spread abroad to the west, and to the east, and to the north, and to the south. And in you and in your seed shall all the families of the earth be blessed. And behold, I am with you, and will keep you in all places wherever you go, and will bring you again to this land, for I will not leave you until I have done that which I have spoken to you of. And Jacob woke out of his sleep, and said, surely Yahweh is in this place, and I did not know it. And he was afraid, and said, how dreadful is this place! This is none other but the house of Yahweh, and this is the gate of heaven. And Jacob rose up early in the morning, and took the stone that he had used for his pillows, and set it up for a pillar, and poured oil upon the top of it. And he called the name of that place Bethel. But the name of that city was called Luz at the first. And Jacob vowed a vow, saying, if Yahweh will be with me, and will keep me in this way that I go, and will give me bread to eat, and raiment to put on, so that I come again to my father's house in peace, then shall Yahweh be my Elohim. And this stone which I have set for a pillar shall be Elohim's house, and of all that you give me, I will surely give the 10th to you. End of chapter. Genesis chapter 29. Then Jacob went on his journey, and came into the land of the people of the east. And he looked, and saw a well in the field, and lo, there were 3 flocks of sheep lying next to it. For out of that well they watered the flocks, and a great stone was upon the well's mouth, and there were all the flocks gathered, and they rolled the stone from the well's mouth, and watered the sheep, and put the stone again upon the well's mouth in this place. Jacob said to them, my brethren, from where have you come? And they said, of Haran we have come from. And he said to them, do you know Laban, the son of Nahor? And they said, we know. And he said to them, is he well? And they said, He is well. And behold, Rachel his daughter comes with the sheep. And he said, Lo, it is yet high day, neither is it time that the cattle should be gathered together. Water the sheep, and go and feed them. And they said, We cannot until all the flocks are gathered together, until they roll the stone from the well's mouth. Then we water the sheep. And while he yet spoke with them, Rachel came with her father's sheep, for she kept them. And it came to pass, when Jacob saw Rachel the daughter of Laban his mother's brother, and the sheep of Laban his mother's brother, that Jacob went near, and rolled the stone from the well's mouth, and watered the flock of Laban his mother's brother. And Jacob kissed Rachel, and lifted up his voice, and wept. And Jacob told Rachel that he was her father's brother, and that he was Rebekah's son. And she ran and told her father. And it came to pass, when Laban heard the tidings of Jacob his sister's son, that he ran to meet him, and embraced him, and kissed him, and brought him into his house. And he told Laban all these things. And Laban said to him, Surely you are my bone and my flesh. And he abode with him the space of a month. And Laban said to Jacob, Because you are my brother, should you therefore serve me for nothing? Tell me, what shall your wages be? And Laban had 2 daughters. The name of the elder was Leah, and the name of the younger was Rachel. Leah was tender-eyed, but Rachel was beautiful and well-favored. And Jacob loved Rachel, and said, I will serve you 7 years for Rachel, your younger daughter. And Laban said, It is better that I give her to you than that I should give her to another man. Stay with me. And Jacob served 7 years for Rachel, and they seemed to him but a few days for the love he had to give her. And Jacob said to Laban, Give me my wife, for my days are fulfilled, that I may go in to her. And Laban gathered together all the men of the place, and made a feast. And it came to pass in the evening that he took Leah his daughter, and brought her to him, and he went in unto her. And Laban gave in to his daughter Leah Zilpah his maid for a handmaid. And it came to pass that in the morning it was Leah. And he said to Laban, What is this that you have done to me? Did I not serve with you for Rachel? Wherefore have you beguiled me? And Laban said, It must not be so done in our country to give the younger before the firstborn. Fulfill her week, and we will give you this also for the service which you shall serve me yet another 7 years. And Jacob did so, and fulfilled her week, and he gave him Rachel his daughter to wife also. And Laban gave to Rachel his daughter Bilhah his handmaid to be her maid. And he went in also to Rachel, and he loved Rachel more than Leah, and served with him yet 7 other years. And when Yahweh saw that Leah was hated, he opened her womb, but Rachel was barren. And Leah conceived and bore a son, and she called his name Reuben. For she said, Surely Yahweh has looked upon my affliction, now therefore my husband will love me. And she conceived again and bore a son, and said, Because Yahweh has heard that I was hated, he has therefore given me this son also. And she called his name Simeon. And she conceived again and bore a son, and said, Now this time will my husband be joined to me, because I have borne him 3 sons. Therefore was his name called Levi. And she conceived again and bore a son, and she said, Now will I praise Yahweh. Therefore she called his name Judah, and left off from bearing. End of chapter. Genesis chapter 30. And when Rachel saw that she bore Jacob no children, Rachel envied her sister, and said to Jacob, Give me children, or else I die. And Jacob's anger was kindled against Rachel, and he said, Am I in Yahweh's stead, who has withheld from you the fruit of the womb? And she said, Behold, my maid Bilhah, go into her, and she shall bear upon my knees, that I may also have children through her. And she gave him Bilhah her handmaid to wife, and Jacob went in unto her. And Bilhah conceived and bore Jacob a son. And Rachel said, Yahweh has judged me, and has also heard my voice, and has given me a son. Therefore she called his name Dan. And Bilhah, Rachel's maid, conceived again, and bore Jacob a second son. And Rachel said, With great wrestlings have I wrestled with my sister, and I have prevailed. And she called his name Naphtali. When Leah saw that she had left off from bearing, she took Zilpah her maid, and gave her to Jacob to wife. And Zilpah, Leah's maid, bore Jacob a son. And Leah said, a troop comes, and she called his name God. And Zilpah, Leah's maid, bore Jacob a second son, and Leah said, Happy am I, for the daughters will call me blessed, and she called his name Asher. And Reuben went in the days of wheat harvest, and found mandrakes in the field, and brought them to his mother Leah. And then Rachel said to Leah, Give me, I ask of you, of your son's mandrakes. And she said to her, Is it a small matter that you have taken my husband? Would you also take away my son's mandrakes also? Rachel said, Therefore he shall lie with you tonight for your son's mandrakes. And Jacob came out of the field in the evening, and Leah went out to meet him, and said, You must come in unto me, for surely I have hired you with my son's mandrakes. And he lay with her that night. And Yahweh listened to Leah, and she conceived, and bore Jacob the fifth son. And Leah said, Yahweh has given me my hire, because I have given my maiden to my husband. And she called his name Issachar. And Leah conceived again, and bore Jacob the sixth son. And Leah said, Yahweh has endued me with a good dowry. Now will my husband dwell with me, because I have borne him 6 sons. And she called his name Zebulun. And afterwards she bore a daughter, and called her name Dinah. And Yahweh remembered Rachel, and Yahweh listened to her, and opened her womb. And she conceived and bore a son, and said, Yahweh has taken away my reproach. And she called his name Joseph, and said, Yahweh shall add to me another son. And it came to pass, when Rachel had borne Joseph, that Jacob said to Laban, Send me away, that I may go to my own place and to my country. Give me my wives and my children, for whom I have served you, and let me go, for you know my service which I have done you. And Laban said to him, I ask of you, if I have found favor in your eyes, stay. For I have learned by experience that Yahweh has blessed me for your sake. And he said, Appoint me your wages, and I will give it. And he said to him, You know how I have served you, and how your cattle were with me. For it was little which you had before I came, and it is now increased into a multitude. And Yahweh has blessed you since my coming. And now when shall I provide for my own house also? And he said, What shall I give you? And Jacob said, You shall not give me anything. If you will do this thing for me, I will again feed and keep your flock. I will pass through all your flock today, removing from it all the speckled and spotted cattle, and all the brown among the sheep, and the spotted and speckled among the goats. And of such shall be my hire. So shall my righteousness answer for me in time to come, when it shall come for my hire before your face. Every one that is not speckled and spotted among the goats, and brown among the sheep, that shall be counted stolen with me. And Laban said, Behold, I would it might be according to your word. And he removed that day the he-goats that were ring-streaked and spotted, and all the she-goats that were speckled and spotted, and every one that had some white in it, and all the brown among the sheep, and gave them into the hand of his sons. And he set 3 days' journey between himself and Jacob fed the rest of Laban's flocks. And Jacob took him rods of green poplar, and of the hazel and chestnut tree, and pilled white strakes in them, and made the white appear which was in the rods. And he set the rods which he had peeled before the flocks in the gutters and the watering troughs when the flocks came to drink, that they should conceive when they came to drink. And the flocks conceived before the rods, and brought forth cattle ring-straked, speckled, and spotted. And Jacob did separate the lambs, and set the faces of the flocks towards the ring-straked, and all the brown in the flocks of Laban. And he put his own flocks by themselves, and put them not into Laban's cattle. And it came to pass, whensoever the stronger cattle did conceive, that Jacob laid the rods before the eyes of the cattle in the gutters, that they might conceive among the rods. But when the cattle were feeble, he put them not in. So the feebler were Laban's, and the stronger Jacob's. And the man increased exceedingly, and had much cattle, and maidservants, and menservants, and camels, and asses. End of chapter. Genesis chapter 31.